Hello, I'm Passant. Today we're looking at Paluck versus Carmona, a do-or-die game for myself and Richard Carmona that finished last week. I had white pieces. I played d4. I'm trying to expand my repertoire a bit, playing d4, even though the Vice President Chini would very much like to ban d4 from all Passant play. And I go into Queen's Gambit, one of the most popular openings that exist in chess. Carmona responds with the Slav defense. Just a brief explanation, going into some opening theory. He can also take Queen's Gambit accepted, but the reason why that's less popular is, well, let's say we play like this. I can win this back pretty easily. And if black wants to hold on to the pawn, he has to proceed like this, pushing the c-pawn. I target the pawn, and he defends. And this is also totally legitimate, but if you notice, black is up a pawn, but I have the two center pawns, and black is behind the development. He hasn't moved a piece at all, while I'm looking a bit more advanced in my development. So that's why the Slav defense is more popular than the Queen's Gambit accepted. And that's how Carmona played. We have just some normal-looking development moves, our dark squared bishops on the fianchetto square. And here's another interesting moment. I noticed his strong light squared bishop slicing through my position, and I said, well, let's try to push it out of the way or exchange it. And here I was surprised by Carmona's response. It reminded me of his game versus Wei Li Fan, in which he got his bishop stuck. And I said, okay, h3, and let's look to trap it. He can do other things, but there's really no good way to get out of it. And in fact, he just castled. And then I looked at this idea more, and I started to doubt myself. This was actually a theme for myself. I had strategic plans, and then I doubted myself and did something else. Maybe just being nervous about losing the game. But I think when you have a good plan, you just have to go for it. So this is what I saw. He can take and get two pawns for the bishop. I mean, I'm still up material. But my king suddenly maybe doesn't know where to go. I was concerned about going queenside because there's just lots of space in front of me. And of course, I can't go kingside. So do I stay in the middle? What do I do with my king? So that's why I doubted trapping his bishop, and I ended up not doing it. Looking back, I should have just gone for that trap, but I didn't. And the ironic thing is that I castle queenside anyway. But so I took, which is also fine. I'm getting rid of a bishop, which is always pretty good. And we continue to develop our pieces. I get ready to castle queenside. He's looking to, the problem with going queenside is that, he can kind of break down my pawn defense. Right now, obviously, I have tons of pieces in front guarding my king, but down the road, it could get dicey. And I move my king to the side there, just to make sure nothing tricky happens there. And also notice I'm on a light square. He has no more light squared bishop, so it's a bit more protected there. And we move forward. Another superfluous move by me. The bishop here is undefended, and it's always good to have your pieces on defended squares. And also, I was just thinking, say I had done something like this instead. He took, I can't take with my pawn because then discovered attack there. So that's why I moved my bishop, although it was probably a wasted move. He jumps in with his knight. Good move, attacking this weak pawn and then looking to fork my rooks. So I really have only one option to take. He takes, and then sure enough, my bishop is just moving around like a fumbling old man. But we're out of the opening. Our pieces are developed, and we're dead even. The computer actually has us at 0-0-0. So I'd say we both played pretty solid openings, except for Carmona almost getting his bishop caught on this square. But we're even. And here, my plan And the reason why I castled queenside, I noticed, I have the light squared bishop, and I'm just gonna push my pawns, attack his little white squared pawn fortress there, get my rooks over here, and just go for it. That was my plan, and I felt pretty good about that. But what does Carmona have up his sleeve? His rooks are looking great, and I go for my attack, and he brings his queen in. And this definitely, I was not expecting this at all. It's a good move. It's bold. I mean, you bring your queen in kind of like a lone warrior. You always have to worry about getting trapped. But I think it was a good move, and it definitely kind of caught me by surprise. I decided to go ahead with my attack. He takes the pawn. I keep on going for it. And so we're still even. I had to drop down here to protect this pawn now. And he brings out his knight for another attacker. So lots of pressure here, and basically, I just need to get his queen out of there. His queen is way too strong. So I attack him, and here I should have continued with the attack. It's gone here. The reason why I didn't go rook to g1 was I thought he could take, but if I had simply looked a bit deeper, no, he can't take, because then his bishop is being taken. I didn't see that. And so instead of moving my rook to attack his queen, I made this move. Just bringing my bishop to a better square and protecting this pawn, and also looking for ideas to trap his queen. But in doing so, this pawn is a goner. So we exchange bishops, he gets the pawn, and his queen is a bit of a monster in there. I have to push my pawn to save it. And this is a critical moment. The computer still has us at totally even, zeros, even though Carmona is up a pawn. And I think the idea is that if I played smartly, I could have just simply gotten this pawn back, and things are looking pretty good. This is a nice strong bishop. I mean, his rooks are looking great, but it's even. It's just a very dynamic position. And so this is what I analyzed. First of all, this is the most. Oh, sorry. After he moves his knight there, this is the most obvious move. Just attacking and looking to get rid of this pesky passed pawn. But I looked at this and I was suddenly afraid of this move. And I thought I would have to take back, and then he takes, and things are not looking good. I'm being attacked. This pawn is still there. I can't do anything about it. But silly me, all I had to do he couldn't have moved here because I would have just taken. And sometimes I think maybe it's a rookie mistake just to forget that, yes, indeed, this queen is protecting the rook. I didn't see that at all. So I shouldn't have been afraid of that. Say we had continued, totally fine. I'm probably doing a little better here. Anyway, I didn't see that. So I was so worried about this queen move that I didn't attack the queen. Instead, I saw this kind of long variation, and I got really excited and also somewhat proud of myself for seeing this. But in fact, this is how I lost the game. So first, this is what happened in the game. I gave the king a check. King has to move to a dark square, and king moved here. And then I said, yes, let's pin this knight. Normal looking move, right? It seems like it's powerful. This actually was the move that pretty much lost the game for me. He has to move here. And, well, this was another bad move. I moved here thinking, yes, okay. I'm attacking this powerful passed pawn. He takes, I take. And this is what I analyzed, and I calculated it, and I was very proud of myself. But what I failed to do was then look at his next best move. It's a good lesson that whenever you are calculating some longer lines, you always have to end with your opponent's next best move. And it's pretty simple, the fork. And after this, it was pretty much all over. Yeah, but let's go back a little bit. Because in fact, after the game, I thought, oh, this rook to e1 move was my downfall because I set myself up for this brutal fork. But in fact, the computer analysis showed that me moving my queen here was the real downfall. Let's look at other things that could have happened. Basically, this knight is just such a beast. He just makes my life miserable. And as soon as these queens get exchanged, black is just better. So let's say I didn't make this bad rook to e1 move. Say I had done something like this. Reasonable move. Yeah, it's still not good at all. Look at this. He brings his knight in, check, and look at that, another fork. And then there's lots of other scary variations there. I don't know, I would have had a take, and yeah, pretty much after that, after the my move queen to b2 here, black was just better in all the variations. Anyway, clearly moving my rook to e1 just made things worse, though. So there you go. It's a good lesson for me whenever looking at these forced calculations. Always end by looking at your opponent's last move. I failed to see that. So yeah, it'd also be interesting to see if Carmona had seen this entire line. I continued playing, of course. I mean, you know, I have a rook and a bishop to his two rooks, which is usually good fighting chances. But if you notice, you know, my king is so bare. His rooks have this great open f file. These pawns are very weak. And I mean, my bishop looks strong, but in fact, the bishop doesn't really have that much to attack. You know, I mean, these are on dark squares. His king is totally cool. So I fought a bit, but also to Carmona's credit, he just played an excellent endgame. And interestingly enough, we were also really just blitzing out these moves. I think we finished the game in like 20 minutes, which I thought was maybe to my advantage. You know, maybe we were playing so fast, maybe Carmona would slip up, but he didn't. He just played really well. I brought my king over here, trying to I don't know, trap his king somehow, but yeah, he would have none of that. He said goodbye, and it was all over. So congrats to to Carmona for just solid play. You know, no real mistakes beside for the almost getting his bishop trapped. And yeah, just executed. This move here was great. I mean, I thought I maybe, I don't know, could go for some kind of perpetual check or give him some kind of problems over there, even though he was queening. But he just totally put the kibosh on that. Excellent move. Goodbye. I kept on playing just because, you know, it's when someone plays this well, it's nice to have them put mate on the board. So, and there it is, checkmate.